Have you ever encountered something paranormal? I am the eldest of 3 siblings and of course, as we moved house to house, I got the basement bedroom most times. I was fine with this being the eldest, this let me have privacy. The last home I lived in with my family before I moved out on my own, I spent 5 years in the basement bedroom. Through those 5 years, I experienced amazing night terrors and sleep paralysis on a very regular basis. There were a few incidents where I would wake up and the closet on the far side of the room would be open just a crack and I'd stare at it knowing I had closed it and it would creak open just a touch more. Then after what would seem like hours, it slowly close and click shut, not a slam, not a regular door close, a very slow methodical one if that makes sense. On 2 specific nights I woke up, not suddenly like something jarred me, but just kind of rolled over and at the foot of my bed was a girl standing there. She looked very young, black hair, dark dress, and she did not move, didn't make a sound, and I never could make out a face. Both times I reverted immediately back to being a 5-year-old and hid my face under the sheets while my heart rate went full marathon pace. Eventually I would feel like it wasn't there anymore and I'd peek out and it would be gone. My parents are not believers in anything paranormal and I never told them anything thinking they would think I'm crazy. I chalked it up to night terrors and extraordinarily realistic dreams during paralysis. I moved out and far away. My next sibling in line got the coveted adult room in the basement and life went on. I had a few Christmas visits and other holiday runs, and at one point, I remember going into that room to get a chair and seeing the closet door nailed shut from the outside. I didn't question it as I thought there's no way it's related to my experience. Not long after that on another return visit home, I went and checked the door to that closet. The nails were gone, but in place was a padlock and there was clearly bundles of sage sweetgrass hanging above the closet and above the only exterior window in. I worked up the nerve to ask my mom what's the deal with the basement and she reluctantly told me that my brother had seen things come in and out of the closet and that he had a girl appear beside his bed and terrorize him on several occasions. Now, no joke, I still haven't told them what I saw because I don't want them to have to move or be bothered with their basement over this. They are both retired, all kids have moved out, and they seem happy. They have also since gutted and renovated the whole basement. I've stayed there a few times now with my wife, and nothing has happened. My girlfriend had always told me her house was haunted. I'd always hear creaks and stuff upstairs and the occasional footstep, but I always played it off as normal house noises until one night in August of this year. We were downstairs watching TV like usual, about to go to bed when we both got a very weird feeling almost simultaneously. She gave me a weird look and I didn't think anything of it, so we went to bed. After a few minutes of her on Twitter and me on Reddit, we put our phones down and roll over to go to sleep. Then we both heard the words, "good night," in a child's voice. Doesn't seem too strange, right? Well, considering there weren't children in the house, we both looked at each other like, why would you say goodnight like that? Then we realized neither of us had said it and we left her room fairly quickly. We went downstairs to lay on the couch and watch a little TV and come to our senses and figure out where those words could have come from. Then we both got that someone's watching you feeling. Not like, oh, that dude over there has been staring at me, but hey, something will not take their eyes off me no matter what I do feeling. So we decided best to leave the house. We went to walk out the front door, but right as we were about to open it, we heard the child's voice again. This time it came from the balcony right above us in the entryway. Clear as day, a child said, "Mommy and Daddy." We looked at each other, I may or may not have screamed, and we ran to my car and decided to drive to the one place that was open in our small Oregon town. Walmart. The problem was, as soon as we got in the car, we knew something had come with us. And it was pissed at us for leaving. The second we got into my Honda, there was nothing but the feeling of hate instilled into both of us for no reason whatsoever. Whatever it was, filled that car with hate. It's now about 4 a.m. and I have to be at work in 5 hours, so we decide to go back to her house and try to get some sleep and see what happens. We walk into the front door and nothing but quiet. We walk up the stairs, turn right, and suddenly, it sounds like a dog is growling from her upstairs bathroom. It takes me a second though because I grew up with dogs and all I could think was that it was just mine in there being weird. 5 seconds later, I realize I'm at her house and no dog has ever set paw in there. Something was fleabing growling at me and I had no idea what. At this point, I'm fleabing pissed at whatever is happening because I'm tired and need to sleep for work. So I come up with this brilliant plan of talking to it, to whatever causing all these problems. The only thing that sticks out at this point is me yelling, "If you're so pissed, do something about it." Right after that, I feel something pull my shirt. I turn around thinking my girlfriend is playing a very unfunny joke on me, but no. She was still downstairs. Something pulled my shirt. After that, I decided it was time to leave for the night. At 6 a.m., we get in my car and drive to my mom's house. That car ride was much less hate-filled, and all the bad feelings were gone for a while. I went to work while my girlfriend slept at my mom's place, and when I got off, we went back to her house to check things. Everything seemed fine except for the one picture of us she had hanging on her wall, which was knocked to the ground like something out of a fleeting horror movie. But she was too exhausted to care about my safety at that point, and I was so tired I was willing to let whatever was there end it, just so I could get some rest. 2 weeks later, we moved out and haven't had any problems since. I never believed in the paranormal at all until this happened. I still question it. My brain thinks there has to be a logical explanation to all of it, and I'm sure there is, but I know she believes, and a piece of me believes that there's something else in that house. This would probably get buried, but here is my story. I live in Mississauga, and I have a Hungarian Kuvisk named K2, after the famous peak in Pakistan. I go for daily walks every day with him, once in the morning and once at night. Most nights are pretty uneventful, except when K2 stops in front of a bench near a thickly wooded area and just stares at it. At first, I try to ignore it thinking K2 just sits there for rest or there are squirrels nearby. However, lately, I have been noticing K2 getting pretty aggressive at the bench like it does when it's about to fight another dog. I try to ignore it, but then one day, K2 starts barking really loudly and drags me to fight whatever it's seeing. Now this is pretty dangerous, especially during winter, as it's brutal in Canada, and if I slip in the snow, there's no one to help me. I had to use all my energy to drag him away from that area, and I was kind of spooked and kind of excited. I asked my dad, who believes in paranormal stuff, how to deal with this, and he said, if there is paranormal stuff going around, then it's best that you either change the walking route or go talk to it and tell it that we mean no harm. Naturally, I chose the latter because I like walking in the forest as it's so peaceful, and walking through that bench area was the only way to get to it. Me and K2 went, and when we got to the bench, I said loudly, "Peace be upon you, we mean no harm. If you can walk away whenever my dog is around, I would greatly appreciate it." I kid you not, this thing actually got up and left. I could tell because K2's head was moving wherever this thing was moving. I was so scared at that point, but it was worth it in the end, as it made the walking that much peaceful. However, lately, whenever my dog gets fixated at something in the house, I get pretty scared. So this was several years ago, when I was a total deadbeat and lived with my then girlfriend's parents. They had a tri-level house, with the basement that contained our living space and my girlfriend and I's bedroom. Upstairs was the living space for everyone else, the dining room and kitchen. The third level had the master bedroom and 2 additional bedrooms for my girlfriend's sisters. I was home alone one night, with her parents off with friends, my girlfriend at a friend's, and her sisters were at an all-night church thing. I elected to stay home and play WoW all night. Where my computer and desk sat, right above my head, was an AC vent. Often, I could hear her sister playing in her room from that vent. I was leveling my paladin or something when I heard laughing and giggling coming from the vent. Nobody was supposed to be home, so my heart picked up. I glanced at the clock on my computer, and it read 1:36 a.m. I remember this all very distinctly. I went to go investigate and headed upstairs. The way the landing sits is at the top of those stairs. You can turn left and either go upstairs or go into the kitchen. I climbed the second set of stairs and opened the first door on the left, which was her young sister's room, which is directly above the basement. Inside, I used the light of my phone to illuminate as best I could. I saw a small figure, what I assumed was a small girl wrapped in a white sheet in the center of the room. Cue pants soiling. This figure, this young girl, stops playing with the dolls and slowly looks at me. It let out the most ear-shattering scream you can imagine. My skin crawls just thinking about it, and my chest tightens just remembering it. I wish I could tell you what transpired, but I remember waking up at the bottom of the landing, right next to the door of the kitchen. I stumbled into the kitchen to get a drink of water and contemplate what the flurbo just happened. I glanced at the clock on the microwave. The clock read 4:46 a.m. We never found the sheet the next day, but the dolls the figure was playing with were sitting in the middle of the room, away from the toy chest, which they were inside of that afternoon when she cleaned her room, which is across the room. Edit. Everyone is saying to turn on the light. That's all well and good, and I would have done that, however, the light in the room operated on a pull cord connected to a fan in the center of the room. Flicking the light switch would have done me no good. So, I was about 9 or 10. I went to my friend Allison's house. She and her parents were at her soccer game. Found out later. Her house was 3 lots down the street on the other side. The house had a 6-foot fence around the property, opening up to the driveway. Whenever she wasn't home, I would just wait for her in the backyard. Her swing set was totally epic. So here I am swinging, waiting for Allison, having a great time. I am watching through their kitchen window, through the living room, and out the front window. Hoping to see her or her parents walk up to the front door. Then I saw a dark, slowly moving object figure thing move across the front room. The next few seconds seemed to last years. I am no longer swinging. Still sitting on my favorite swing, I am no longer happy. Deathly still, I watch this figure, holding my breath as it glides. No, no, no. The voice in my head shrieks as the pitch black shadow stops. Panic is starting to set in my young mind. Hold perfectly still, I tell myself. Intently watching as the figure starts to turn towards me. I see no face or any detail, but I feel it as it faces me. Definitely male. Definitely full of hate. Every hair feels like it's standing on my head. Scared, fleebless and not able to move. I tell myself this can't be real. It's all some waking dream. The thing starts moving towards me. I let out a loud gasp-like scream. It's almost like I can feel its intention. I am frozen by the hate I can feel. I look past the door to the kitchen to the driveway. If that guy comes out of the door at me, I'll never make it past, I think. I look the other way towards the fence. That side doesn't open, but I can climb it. We always did, to get to the field. I have never climbed it great, but I can. Looking back at the window. I see the shadow man slide right through the window. Ah, I scream as I run towards the field. Never looking back, I climb that fence the fastest I ever did. Falling off the top of the fence, I land on my back. Jump up and run, as fast as I have in my life, back to my house. Upon entering my house, I run straight to my room and enter my closet. This is where I sat for the next 4 hours until my parents convinced me to come out and eat. To this day, I still get chills when I recall that stuff.